So I think we're good to go. So very, very warm welcome to everybody here today. Thank you for joining us for AI Tips and Tricks to make a teacher's life easier. And I also extend this warm welcome to my fellow guest presenters, Pip Cleaves, Deputy Principal Strategic Initiatives, and Benjamin Gibb, Japanese teacher at Wadalba Community High. They both have very special interests. Well, they have many interests, but special interests in AI. So I'm so happy that they're here joining us today too. Thank you. So we recognise the ongoing custodians of the lands and waterways where we work and live. We pay respect to elders past and present as ongoing teachers of knowledge, songlines and stories. We strive to ensure every Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander learner in New South Wales achieves their potential through education. And while focusing on technology, I'd like to highlight InDigital, Australia's first Indigenous edutech company, specialising technology development and digital skills training in AI and mixed realities, machine learning, Internet of Things and geospatial technologies. Their mission is to close the digital divide between Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples by providing a meaningful pathway for Indigenous people into the digital economy and the creation of future technologies. And their mission is to use digital technologies to express 80,000 years of human knowledge for generations to come. These programs are designed through an Indigenous cultural lens, which provides a meaningful pathway for Indigenous peoples into the digital economy, which acknowledges that Aboriginal culture is not static or linear, but living and evolving, which does not change in digital form, but continues to evolve as well. And I'm presenting today from the lands of the Darug in Parramatta. So let's take a look at a short video just to familiarise ourselves on AI. We're starting at a very beginner level today and just showing you very practical things that could apply to language teachers. So we'll have a look at this first of all.
What is artificial intelligence? Before we answer that, let's look at these terms individually. What do you understand by the term artificial? Well, it can be anything that is made by humans, things that are non-natural. And what do you understand by intelligence? It is the ability to understand, think, and learn. So what do we get when we combine these two together? Artificial intelligence is a broad area of computer science that makes machines seem like they have human intelligence. The goal of AI is to mimic the human brain and create systems that can function intelligently and independently. They say that the age of AI is here, but then you might be wondering, why don't you see flying cars or robotic maids bringing you lunch? Why doesn't your life look more like the Jetsons? Well, for starters, that's a cartoon, and when it comes to AI, a robot is nothing more than a shell concealing what's actually used to power the technology. AI can manifest itself in many different ways. If you have ever asked Alexa to order your food or browse Netflix movie suggestions, you are actually interacting with AI without realizing it. And that's kind of the point. AI is designed so you do not realize that there is a machine calling the shots. In the near future, AI is expected to become a little less artificial and a lot more intelligent. As AI becomes more intelligent, it will obviously take on the role of an intelligent worker. While most of the repetitive and largely time-oriented tasks can be automated using AI, we will still need human experts who can build and maintain these synthetic bots and work on the strategic and creative aspects of a job. So in conclusion, AI is a boon that can help optimize any job. This means that, as always, it's not AI versus humans. Rather, it is a combination of humans and AI versus the actual problem statement. So what are you waiting for? Pull up your socks and get ready to be a part of this AI revolution.
Okay, so I think it's important from that video to realise we've had a number of teachers wonder how it can help with those repetitive activities we do as teachers. With others concerned, will AI take over teacher jobs? And if you use AI, then you're not really teaching. It's not the case at all. This is just another tool to explore. And if it helps save you time or helps you produce more authentic resources, then by all means embrace it. If you leave this session today and think that it's not for you, that's totally okay too. It's not meant to replace you, it's meant to help you and your students. So if we can save you 10 minutes of time that you can spend with your family through one thing you learned today, then that's a win for us. Your time's really important. So we will have a look at some practical tips for languages. So as we can see on here, ChatGPT is an artificial intelligence chatbot. So GPT is a generative pre-trained transformer. It's a language model, which is an AI algorithm designed to understand and generate human-like language. So on this slide, you can see the ChatGPT landing page on the OpenAI website. You can also see what the output of text from ChatGPT looks like. So this would be the website that you go to use it, OpenAI, and there's a little button there that says try ChatGPT. You would register for it. It's free. It takes a second. I haven't got any emails or anything like that from it. And then you can see on the right-hand side in Indonesian, it's got Apa Ibu Kota Australia, what's the capital city of Australia, and writing a story in Japanese. So it can do lots of things for us to help us. So how can ChatGPT make a language teacher's life a little easier? Ideas include using ChatGPT with your specifications, and that's important. You tell it what you want it to do, to change context, purpose, and audience in text, to cater to a range of interests, topics, vocab, and structures, and support literacy skill development by comparing language in different texts. Change text between languages to provide a range of assessment and understanding tasks. Create questions ranging from simple to higher order for all learners. Create scaffolds and templates for students needing extra support. Make lesson plans. Write report comments addressing specific language criteria. Word letters to caregivers about student progress. And write messages to executive with requests for language needs. You're not asking it to do these, but you're telling them the parameters just to help you speed it up in the same way you might have used a handwriter, or you might use a secretary or an assistant to write something. This is an assistant to you, not there to do your job. There are some other further ideas here in this infographic by Todd Finley, and I'll give you a moment to read it. And a copy is also in our statewide staff room, and we will make the recording and the slides available to you later on after this session too. So ChatGPT, as I said, is an artificial intelligence chatbot. And how do we use it? You go to the OpenAI website, click on Try ChatGPT, and then your input screen will open up. Click on New Chat, and off you go. You can start a new chat for different topics, and it will be stored as history down the left-hand side for access later on. Using the ChatGPT chatbot itself is fairly simple, as all you have to do is type in your text and receive the information. The ChatGPT webpage is simple and includes an area for the results to populate and a text box at the bottom of the page for users to type in inquiries. So that's what we're looking at on the screen, and we'll unpack this for you. So in the yellow section at the bottom, you would type in your question or text you would like adapted with an instruction of what you would like ChatGPT to do. The question will move to the top space as indicated in the yellow box here, and this will be followed within seconds with a response. This example was, why are language teachers amazing? And within 5 seconds, this response came up. So if you're wondering why you're amazing, you shouldn't need to, but because you are, but you can ask ChatGPT and have a little bit of fun with that too. You can access ChatGPT online via your computer, as shown on the previous slide, or on your phone or mobile device. The first image shows what it looks like after you hit Try ChatGPT on your mobile or phone or tablet. So it looks a little bit different, but fundamentally the same. The second image shows the new chat and historical chat lists. The third shows where you can type your question, and the fourth what it looks like once the response is produced. On your device, you can also input text using the mic and speaking. This converts to written text but saves you some time typing. We all like to save time. So tips for using ChatGPT for language teachers. So using it to support differentiation by changing context. Let's take the 3 little pigs for a language test drive in ChatGPT to differentiate for all learners. These examples are in English, using a familiar English children's story to show you how you can use text from different languages to change text types, form questions, extend to higher order thinking questions. This allows for differentiation to support the learning needs of all students and also supports literacy by comparing text types and language. HPGE students or students with prior learning may be offered text with more information or different text types and higher order thinking questions. Students that need support can be given simplified text, or you can ask ChatGPT to create a template or a scaffold. So we asked ChatGPT to write the story in English. So there we've got our 3 little pigs, if you're familiar with that story. Then we asked ChatGPT to make the wolf a friend of the pigs instead of a nasty villain. So now we see a change in context here. And I won't leave it up for you to read the whole lot. You can get the gist, but you can read the slides later when I give it to you. We can also, not only can text be generated easily to support differentiation with different levels of language or changing context, by changing text types, it supports literacy development also. So by changing text types, students compare the type of language, vocabulary, and grammatical structures to convey meaning in different texts. For a bit of fun, we then asked ChatGPT to write this as a limerick text type. Then we asked it to write it in another language, in this case Indonesian, which you can see underneath. You can discuss with students the text size and patterns, rhyming words, how English and target language translations compare. Next, we requested the limerick to be changed to a text message text type. We also asked it to be changed into Shakespeare style for fun. So you can have a look at that in that second picture at the top and the bottom. Look how the language is abbreviated, though still rhyming. You can provide templates for students to compare, have them code different vocabulary in the structures by highlighting, replace vocabulary with other vocab, or even write their own and compare. Then for a bit more fun, we asked for it to be written as a rock and roll song. You could discuss with the students what part of the text is repeated here, how is the text structured as a song, is the vocabulary and structures different, and why. As a follow-on, we asked ChatGPT to create 5 questions in easy Indonesian about the song, and then to translate them into English. We also requested a higher order thinking question and a translation for it in French. And these things happened within a matter of seconds. So if you're teaching cross languages, this could be helpful. We also asked ChatGPT to write a story for a kindergarten student about a sad day in Indonesian. Within seconds, it gave us a story about 2 little rabbits who were friends, but one day one lost their doll. It took them on an adventure of searching and support with, of course, a happy ending. Next, we simply added this request, make this a happy story. And within seconds, it gave us a happy story about the 2 rabbits, with one buying a doll for their friend. They played together and laughed and planned to have more days like this forever. How can this kind of activity support language learning? So students can pick up key vocab and grammatical structures from the stories, note differences in tone and things people may say with opposite feelings, such as happy and sad. Students can write their own happy version to the original sad story and compare it to the happy version provided, which can be used as a sample response. They could answer questions about stories on any topic that teachers can create in seconds, differentiated to suit the different learner needs. All you have to do is give ChatGPT the parameters of what you want it to do. Make it harder, make it easier, change the context to whatever, happy, sad, past tense, so on. Once we created all of our text, thank you ChatGPT, questions and ideas for the lesson, we asked ChatGPT to write a lesson plan for an Indonesian class about the three little pigs. And within seconds, it came up with lesson objectives, materials, a lesson plan, and assessment. The lesson plan included an introduction, activities, and conclusion with suggestions to check for student understanding. While the lesson plan wasn't perfect, it's a great way for us to generate new ideas and ways of thinking as we plan for engaging activities for our students. So please don't use this in place of your lesson planning and your structures, but it can be used to give you a bit of support to come up with those ideas, different perspectives, maybe word something if you're having a little bit of a brain block in the day. So it's not used to replace, but just to support. You can also use ChatGPT to compose those reflections, letters to parents, report comments or feedback. The first sample had the instruction, write a report comment about a student who is very good in Indonesian speaking skills, but still needs to master their writing skills. It has written it as a letter to a parent, so we would need to copy and paste it somewhere and refine it by giving it more parameters when we ask it to produce something for us, such as word limits and details. The second sample here was more direct. So write 50 words feedback to an Indonesian language student saying they had a great pronunciation and fluency, but they need to develop their sentence structures to include more conjunctions and sentence starters. So you can copy and paste this text and edit it once it's been written to adapt if need be. So again, you're not putting your students' work in there, you're not putting the students' grades or information about your scores. You should keep all those things confidential still, but it can help you with, again, forming those words, particularly if you're writing a lot or brain blocks and so on. Sometimes teachers may be teaching different languages across the same stage or can't find an appropriate text in the language they are after, but may have in another language. So you can add it to ChatGPT and ask it to write in another language. If you need to make changes so you can use previous assessment tasks, you can ask ChatGPT to change the characters, scenario, text type, and so on. Here we have examples of a story about Tokyo Sky Tree, first in Japanese for school children, second in Indonesian, and third as a different text type as a review of Tokyo Sky Tree, with the request to only use hiragana, all completed in seconds. So in a moment, I'm just going to show you a quick demonstration of how quickly ChatGPT works. I will remind you that these aren't perfect yet. It's an evolving technology, so you should always, like with any resource you use with your students, do cross-check it, make sure that it's appropriate for your students, and make sure, look for errors in that in there as well. Just make sure you correct them. So, won't be just a moment. I'm going to stop sharing from there for a minute. Bring up my website, share screen. Okay, can we see the website now? Great, thank you. Okay, so I'm just going to show you very quickly. We are in ChatGPT. You can see up the top here, I'm in openai.com chat. I've already signed in. Down the left-hand side, you can see the history of my chats, and I can go to, it already starts with a new chat if it looks like this. So you can go back to a previous one, or you can start a new one there. So let me just type in, write a simple itinerary for a 3-day trip to Newcastle, because I come from the Hunter Valley. It's a great place to visit. If you haven't been there, you'll soon find out why, except I did a typo. My apologies. My computer's going a little bit crazy on me today. Oh, okay. That's not going as well as I had have hoped it would have. Worked for me earlier this morning. Try once more. Okay. Am I spelling it right? Ben?
It must be peak period.
Ben?
Very busy.
Yeah, I think it just does that sometimes
So-
when it's a bit busy.
I'm going
Maybe
to.
it doesn't recognise Newcastle.
No, I had it all working, so it was fine. But Ben, you're going to do demonstrations live, right?
Yeah, we'll see how we go from
So
on.
I'm going to stop doing my live demonstration. I'm going to hand over to you now. So thank you very much, Ben. Sorry about that, people. I promise it does work very quickly, but I'm just having a computer glitch. So thank you, Ben. Hopefully you won't have the same glitch.
We'll see how we go. All
Thank
right,
you.
let me see if I can share. Can people see that?
Yeah, we can. Thank you.
Cool. All right, I'll just minimize this. And then go here. Okay, hi everyone. So my name's Ben. I'm a Japanese teacher at Wadaba Community School, and Karina asked me to share a couple of ideas for using ChatGPT. So this is a presentation about that. We're not going to get through the whole thing, but what I want you to know is I've actually made a Google Sites with all of the prompts to try so that you can use it when suits you and go through it at your own pace. So today's goal, I said learn to confidently use ChatGPT, but I think it's more view some ideas that you would go back later. It will be a very text heavy, just the same as Karina's presentation, because it's a text program. But again, like this presentation is just mirrored from this Google Sites. So you can listen and relax, or I'll see if I can get it inside the chat. And you can try it while you watch if that suits you. Yep. And you'll need to be signed in with your department email. So it is in the chat if that's how you roll and you like to just do it alongside. So we'll just see how we go. I've just texted you, Karina. Just give me a time to finish by. Any time is okay.
Okay, no worries. I would say I will let you know with about 2 minutes to spare.
Yep. All right, so ChatGPT is, I'm just repeating a lot of things Karina will say, it's a large language model. So because it's been trained on all of this existing text, it can recognize text, it can summarize or generate text for you. It's helpful, I think, to think that it can create a good draft for you. But it's really important to double check everything it's created because there definitely can be inaccurate and it may not be suitable for your students. I don't mean in a inappropriate way, but just, for example, in the language level, it can just be a bit of a brainstorming friend as opposed to it's going to spit stuff out for you. So again, if the link's not working for you, make sure you're signed into your department Google account and it should go well. So just have a read of that. I thought, when would we want to generate text similar to Karina's presentation? So in the target language, reading and listening texts, models for what they're producing, vocabulary lists, sample sentences to learn language structures, learning idioms, and maybe translating between languages. If we are translating, like if we're generating text in English, it may be comprehension questions, it may be individual feedback on writing, or it may be whole class feedback. It can also give you a couple of ideas for risk assessment, permission notes, cultural information as well. So I'm literally just going to go through some prompts together with you and we'll see how many we get through, but they're all on the website. So write a dialogue in N5 Japanese between 2 high school students in Japan. they are discussing how the first speaker got in trouble from the teacher for using AI to write the English assignment. So this is straight off that website. Let's see if it helps me out. And then I'm going to make it provide an English translation so everyone can enjoy it. Now, when it does this, it just is a little bit busy. So often if you refresh the site, it has a think, and when it's a bit less busy, it plays ball. So if you get that red message, it's not you. It's just very, very, very popular at that time. So, Karina, I think I've got the same thing as you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through a couple more prompts together.
Thanks,
and
Ben.
then we'll have
Has everyone in the session maybe got ChatGPT and maybe play with it after the session?
But I was like, you know, going through this while you were doing it, and I didn't have the problem. So just like Evia said, it's just, you know, it's free at the moment, but.
And like, you can see like the examples, like the fun of ChatGPT is actually playing with it yourself as well. So hopefully you'll get enough out of it that they can play with it too.
That's right. Okay, yeah, but they got to see it. All right, well, we'll see. Okay, so it would write that dialogue for you. Then let's say you're like, it's not long enough, or I want to make it better, or I want to make it simpler. You could say things like rewrite the above dialogue, adding 6 more lines. Make the second speaker conclude that you won't get better in English if you don't do the assignments by yourself. And it will do that for you. So just see how we go. Now, usually when it's spinning up here, it just needs 5 minutes. So we'll keep going. Let's say you have an existing text. So you want to write something that's about the level of French beginners HSC exam text. And you just think that's the length I want. I want to use it for an exam. I want to use it for a practice. So you can get it to sort of take an existing text and keep the language difficulty of that. So here I've got something from Nessa's 2022 French beginners question 5. So I take this conversation here. If it was working, I would paste it in. All right, and I'm saying write a dialogue in French in the same style and difficulty as the below text, but change the context, which is very similar to, again, what Karina showed. But I think there definitely is that use where you are trying to make exam texts. You are trying to make texts that students can use that are sort of at a HSC level. So let's see if it likes me. So we're changing the context to a move from Sydney to the Central Coast, which is more remote but has many more outdoor activities. See if it plays ball. Not today. All right. Okay, so another thing is if you want to make homework readings, you can literally take a text that you've given them in class and just slightly change the context and say, hey guys, this is a reading for homework. You know, it should contain similar grammar structures. It should contain a similar level of tone or formality, but it's just a really nice extra reading for the students. Creating differentiated or leveled versions of an existing text. So you could say, rewrite the above dialogue in C1 French. Let's just say we'd made that one about a move to the Central Coast. Please add 3 lines of dialogue to each sentences. So very similar to the last one I showed you. You can make it longer. You can tell the speakers what you want to say, and ChatGPT will do that. And something I like a lot about the dialogues it has is they have those really natural expressions like hey or oh, or I know the word in Japanese, interjunctions, I think. It's very good at doing those. I'm just going to go through these. So create 8 comprehension questions in English about the below text. The first 4 questions should ask for key info from the text. And the last 4 should ask for the reader to draw conclusions based on info from the whole text. And this one is a little bit hit and miss when you get the opinion questions. But if you ask it to make 8 questions and you only want 4, you'll probably find 4 that you like. Let's say you need some more inspiration and you're a Spanish teacher. So you go to NESA's French exams and you look at the marking guidelines to see what sort of text they had. And then you go, right, I might borrow these into Spanish, and that's going to give me a whole range of texts that are sort of probably still in the same HSC mindset. I think that's a great advantage. If you want to do grammar drills, it will definitely do that for you. So I don't think we're friendly yet, but it can definitely do that. So it could just keep making sentences if you want those for students. I know people use that to make sentence builders. It can suggest idioms or phrases that are commonly used by young people. So let's just say, let's see. Oh, it can't be. Let's have a look. No, it's just not. It's just a bit busy at the moment. And this does happen, and there is a paid version, but I don't think most people use it. I think most people just try and come back when it's working. But the idioms one is very, very good, especially if you want senior students to just have some ideas to make their writing a little bit more natural. It can make a vocabulary list from a text for you, which is very, very useful. And it can do it in a table. So the first column would become the Indonesian words and phrases. The second column should be English. And I usually asked it to use the 20 least frequently used words. So it's not going to give you the really basic ones the kids know. It's going to focus on the more complex ones for you. I don't really know how well AI can ever replace our feedback because we know the level of our students, we know the needs of the students, we know the context of the HSC, but it can actually explain grammatical errors in texts. So it is a real pity it's not working, but you will be able to go play with this. And in the website, I've actually put in a French text that has errors and it will summarize them. And it will say, you know, the verb agreement is not working. I'm not a French teacher, but I tried to use other languages. And it's quite amazing. And I think if you just pasted in everyone's work, it could give really good whole class feedback as well. Am I going okay for time? I think I'm almost there. If you had a model.
You've probably got about another 5 to 7 minutes if you want it, but when you're finished, you can hand over to Pip if it's before that.
Okay, sweet. Well, I know it's people probably just, that's good. I'll just slow down a bit. So you're going to ask everyone to write a diary entry for an assessment task. And on the task notice, you don't just want it to say, you'll write a diary entry. You want to give it a bit more zing, a bit more detail. So if you pasted in a model that you've written, it would sort of explain the style and languages features of the text they will need to write, and it will write it in English for you. So I'm just going to refresh it. I just want it to work at least once, hey? But I'm feeling it might not.
I'm sending you all the positive vibes. We've got Leah Robertson who said that hers is working. If she wants to type in the questions, I've suggested she can copy and paste it into there for us.
Yeah, it definitely works, but I did wonder if this would happen. It's okay. So another thing is, you know, you're getting those students to write that diary entry. And because it's a model, you want them to see exactly what they need to be writing. It will just translate that for you. So even though it's nothing special, it's just translating. For each paragraph, below each paragraph in Chinese or Japanese, it would be putting the English translation there for you. And I've used that for assessment task sort of info pack, and it worked very, very well. So you're a German teacher, and you know, I think students really do appreciate cultural information about events. And one of the things is, you know, obviously if it's from a textbook, it's copyrighted. And that can just make it a bit harder to scan and paste in. But I think students do deserve to know about those. So, for example, in English, can you give us a description of Oktoberfest? The description should be 6 sentences long and in plain English. And then you can ask it, can you please give me 10 words or phrases in German that are commonly used when we're talking about Oktoberfest? It will give us a table where it says related German words and phrases. And then the second column will be English. No, it's just still not going. So I'm glad to hear some people have got it working. It was working absolutely fine for me 5 minutes ago. So if I was to try this one, let's see. No.
It's a little frustrating because we know how quick it is. Honestly, it's just a 5-second switch over and it's, yeah, fun, but it just makes it all the more enjoyable when you discover it yourself at home.
There you go.
Oh, well done, Ben.
So I'll give people a minute just to look at that. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So I might just go back up and see if it's, let's try the errors. Write a dot point summary in English that explains the grammatical errors in the below text. No, but we saw it. It was there. It's a thing, Karina. It's a thing.
I'm glad it wasn't just me, but that's technology for you, right? And why we can't be replaced because we need this friendly banter in the meantime when technology isn't working.
Yep. Let's give it one more chance. I'm
And
almost
Ben,
done.
we'll hand over to Pip in a minute or two.
Yep. All right. We'll just hand over. It's all good. It's probably better in that way because I got through more stuff.
Thank you.
Okay. So the last thing I think I have to say is it could do an excursion notice. So you're a German language teacher going to the Goethe Institute, and it will just write a really basic, we'll get a bus and we'll be doing activities and we'll be going home. Students will do this, students will do that. Now, it can do a pretty good job at risk assessment. It's not going to fill the table in for you, but it can think of a lot of things. So it cannot replace the process. It's really up to the school, especially when you talk about identifying risk and putting a number on it, but it will write that. It will also auto-generate a whole Kahoot. So this is a really long prompt. I'm not going to ask you to read it now, but just it's on that website. You can paste it into, it'll just make this huge table, and Kahoot has an Excel sheet that you download, and it will just make a 20-question Kahoot for you. So this one is on grammar. This one is, if you actually give it a text, let's say you did a reading, it'll make a Kahoot about the reading and take phrases from the text. So you just paste the text in at the end. And I just wanted to really quickly conclude, will students use AI to cheat? I think we need to think about what is cheating. Like if you were living overseas, when would you use it? And would you use it to learn if you had uni assignments? And if you really discuss with them together, you make assessment task designs well. And this is, Karina's statement, if you have a relationship with them and you say it's about, do you want to be able to use Japanese authentically when you're there? Cheating's not going to help you do that. I think they'll understand. So yeah, at the heart of language learning are the things that I've put here. And I think if we let students know it's about the journey, then they're not going to want to cheat. They're just going to want to expand their language skills and have the fun that we all had learning it. So thank you.
I absolutely love that, Ben. Like, it's true. I always say hashtag, it's all about relationships. This Google Translate, they can't replace us. They can't replace relationships. They can't give a hug, a handshake, a smile, or any of those things that are really at the heart of what language and connections are about. But these are tools that we can help build those language skills, make your life a bit easier to do that. And Ben, thank you so much for digging deeper into all those tools. I know you've looked at a long time. You inspired me to start exploring ChatGPT to get started, and I really just appreciate you coming along today to share that expertise with everybody and dealing with the glitch that we have with ChatGPT. But thank you so much. So if we can give him a little clap with if you know how to do that with the React or hands. And now I'm going to hand over to another lovely colleague of ours, Pip.
Hi everyone. Nice to see so many familiar names and faces among the crowd. I'm just going to share my screen for a second and get started. I'm going to take the beginning of the journey and step in a little bit more into what other tools do we have out there. Just checking that we can see that, Karina.
Yes, I can.
We're good to go. Fantastic. So I've just shared this link in the chat, and you'll see that various things open up for you as we go along. But I want to take the beginnings of using ChatGPT and the construct of using AI to help our students along in their journeys and help ourselves into what tools are out there besides these that we can tap into. So currently there are about 100 tools a week being released that have AI functionality in them. And that is really scary when we think about it, but it's also really exciting because I really think this will change what we're doing. And if we do keep asking for low-level knowledge-based questions from our students, then they will tap into AI. So our assessments by nature will probably need to change to be more evaluative and reflective and more about the learning journey that students have been on. And therefore the tools just become part of what they use along the way, because we all know reflective writing and evaluative writing and higher order thinking and problem solving is about new knowledge. Anyway, so the first thing I'm going to show you is something that I'm slightly obsessed with at the moment, and that is creating images in AI. So as we know, when I was in the classroom, I used to spend hours and hours looking for images that I could use that I was not going to play around. I was not going to be in copyright violation for, basically, and finding that exact image that I wanted to use. So I use a tool called Midjourney, and I'm going to show you a little bit how to do that now. You won't be able to start using this now because there's a couple of steps involved that I've shared the how-to guide in that link. But I'm just showing you through some of my images that I've created in the past little while so that you can see we've got vegetables, we've got these here, the Chinese zodiac, we've got some fresh vegetables. What else have we got here? You'll see that everything is in 4s. That's when I use Midjourney. It always creates 4 images that you can then save one of those images if you like. This here is some work around a French village. Then we move into a Japanese sushi plate using a concept called nolling that I'll explain in a second. Oops, there's a ukulele or two. Here's some futuristic Japanese folklore characters that we could use. Some beautiful Japanese scenery. Again, if we're doing some descriptive work, we can create our own images to suit the language and the vocabulary set that we're working with. Some traditional villages that we can show, some futuristic stuff. So I'm going to walk you through and show you how to do that. How interesting to be able to, so if you're using something like Canvas LMS or even Teams, OneNote, Google Classroom, any of those LMSs, suddenly we're not stuck to paper and we're able to use colour in our content a lot more. So this is why I like using these images. So imagine being able to use colourful images that we've created, fantastical, gorgeous characters and images, to be able to use some descriptive language with our students or to just build some grammatical concepts. So this is a tool. This is called Midjourney. I'm going to go take you into the main part of Midjourney. That was my area of Midjourney. And you can see here that people have, there's some, you know, whatever characters in here, but we can see here these. So these are not pictures. These are images created by AI. So this person on the right here does not exist. A version of her may exist somewhere as a little bit of a little bit of a coincidence, but these are characters that don't exist. And you'll see if I click on, this character here, then I'll be given down the bottom here, this is the prompt that I will use to create a character. So I'm going to copy that prompt now, just Control C, and I'm copying it. And I'm going to head into a space called Discord. So this is my Discord server. Anyone can set up a Discord server. It's just a website, really. Don't get too scared by the word server. So we set up our Discord server, and then I can paste in. I type imagine, I paste in, and I hit return, and hopefully the world isn't on. No, we should be right. It's just starting to boot that up at the moment. So before I showed you a website with my images, you can see this is where I've created the images. And we can see I have 4 of them here, and I have written U1, U2, U3, U4. So if I want to take just one of those characters, let's say I just want to use this image, that is a 1, 2, 3, 4th character. So I can create U4 and it's going to extract that and do an upscaled, like a really pretty version. Or I can do a V4 and it's going to give me a grid of 4 based on this image here. So as this, there we go, there we go. So here's our character. So that prompt that I copied into here. So yes, I could actually dig in and understand this if I want. There's a lot of words in that one, but it's created a really cool image that I could definitely use in my work. I've just created, there's the 4 variations of that image that I just did, and the one on its own is still coming. So I can also be very, very simple with my prompts. So that one of the boy holding the dog, that was quite full on. But if I wanted to create just a simple prompt, in here I type imagine, because that's what we always start our prompts with. Imagine, and then if I was to say Harajuku fashion teenage girl, that's all I would need to print, type, and it's going to create that for me. 2 seconds. And just delete that little thing on the side, and you'll see that it will start. It usually takes about 30 to 40 seconds. The free account will get you quite a few images. I pay for, I think it's like $10 a month so that I can go crazy. Being the nerd that I am, I enjoy doing this for my downtime. So you can see I'm counting up here. It's 93% completed. And it will keep going. There we go. So these are my images. If I just expand that for you to be able to see, you can see they're kind of cool images, right? I know that that's kind of an, yes, it's a pretty thing, but I always say hook them in with the eye candy, dig them in with the content and the learning. So that's giving us a really good picture. If I then decided, oh, I just want to use this one up here, I would choose upscale 1 and it will head off and give me a high res version of that image to use on my own. So that is, so you can see back to Midjourney itself, the website. I can always go onto the website and find some prompts. Look at that. Imagine that as like a writing task or a descriptive task. Wouldn't that be cool? And I can right click, I can scroll down, grab that prompt there, and know that no 2 images are ever alike. So this is my image and I'm creating it, and I'm not taking the copyright of any artist who is out there. I believe that
we've got a question. Oh, someone's got their hand up as well, but when you're ready, it's Evia. Oh, actually, there's a couple of hands gone up now. Evia.
Thanks, Karina. Hi, Pip. I just wanted to ask you, if I put the same prompt on my computer, am I going to get the same images as you just did?
No, you're not going to at all.
I've always wondered that.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it, right? That it always gives a version of what you've just done. Say, I'm going to copy this one now just to show you. Remember this character? Yeah. I will prompt this out while we're just sitting here. So the art of prompting, imagine. So the art of prompting is like a new career for the future, right? I'm just pasting that in there and let's see what it gives us. So getting better and better. There's a lot of learning out there to understand how to do prompts. If you know photography, you can use photography concepts like your f-stop or your different type of lighting and things like that. But it is a very valid way to do things. So how do
Marina had her hand up too. I'm not sure if Marina still has a question. Marina, are you there? Do you?
So you actually react as with a lab hat and then pressed.
Oh, it's okay then. Thank you.
Right.
Keep going, Pip. Thank you.
Fantastic. So you'll see that's that image that was created. It's completely different, actually. Isn't that intriguing? I think it's great. Okay, so that's Midjourney. The how-to for adding Midjourney to a Discord server, which is a really nerdy thing to say, but basically you're going to make an account on a thing called Discord, and then you're going to put the app that's called Midjourney into your Discord space. And the how-to guide for that, there's a little video on, if we scroll down, there's a video here that's just, there we go, that will step you through that process. It only takes a little while to do. And once you've done it, you can do it on your mobile phone. I like to, when I'm really bored in meetings, I may be known to do some Midjourney prompting. But anyway, all righty, the next thing I'm going to show you then is this really cool, it's a little activity, it's a little website called DID. And this turns your avatars into a really, really cool video. So you could go to ChatGPT and create a script, because it's fantastic for writing scripts. And I'm talking about you here. I'm not talking about students, because at the moment, ChatGPT is blocked for students, so therefore there's a reason why we don't use it. So I don't encourage the use of it for students at home or at school until we're cleared by the department. But as teachers, let's make some avatars to show teachers instead of like stepping through PowerPoints and stuff like that, right? So you can create, the video probably isn't going to work. So it's quite a lifelike. We've had tools like this in the past where we create avatars, but this is really lifelike. And in our TikTok world, I think this is something that students really might engage with. You can create your own little one to play for free to start with. You just have to have your script, and this video talks you through how to do it. You just have to have an image of a person, and it does all the mouth movement for you and mashes it all together to create a great little video for you to pop onto your LMS or your website or whatever you're using with your students. So that is called DID video. And the next thing I want to show you is, I know that Ben and Karina spoke to you about lessons and teaching. So this is a website that uses AI technology to create lesson plans for you. So I'm going to show you how it works. I wouldn't use this as the everything. I would use this as a, oh my goodness, where do I get started? I'm a bit bored with my unit. What am I going to do here? So you can also, at the moment, you can build assessment tasks in here, and report writing is also coming. The guy who developed this is an Australian who's an ex-teacher himself. And so he uses a lot of our language, which I think is really refreshing in this day and age. So let's pick a topic that we're going to do something about. Let's talk about Easter in France. I don't even know if this is a thing. Anyway, what are our learning objectives? Well, at this point, I would quickly jump into, what don't I go to? Oh, actually, no, let's do food trucks. So I grabbed one of your units of work. Thank you very much for all your work with this. And let's say that this is the outcome that I want to be working with. I'll pop that in there. And I might actually say in here, I will tell it in a minute that it's for 16-year-olds, maybe 15-year-olds. Wrong Word document. Let's open the right one. Is it that one? Yep. And we can copy that. This is maybe something as we move into new syllabus territory that we can start playing with outcomes. At this stage, you can't just type in the code for an outcome, because ChatGPT, which is the base, ChatGPT is like the brains for all these apps, okay? So people have taken what's called the API and created their own apps for it. So ChatGPT's knowledge base was cut off in January 2021. So anything post 2021, it doesn't actually know as a short code or stuff like that. So you need to type in what you want to do. Easter in France, and what do we actually want to do? We want to work with something like learning language structures to describe family meals during Easter celebrations. Will we do that? Let's try with that, hey? And then I just need to create the generate the lesson draft, and it will pop up for us. I can download this as a Word document at the end. I can add to my assessment task. Well, that's just whizzing along. You'll see this is what happens here. So it comes up with what the learning objectives are, an introduction to the class, demonstrate and explain what the students are going to do, what your formative assessment might be with a test, reflective activities, some resources that you can use, and the 21st century skills, aka the general capabilities that it's going to align to. If I wanted to move into assessments, here's an assessment I did earlier on descriptive language in Japanese. It gives me my marking criteria. So I had a marking criteria sitting in Teams that I was able to export and use in here. So that marking criteria is there for me. And if I wanted to export this, export it as a Word document, that assessment task then appears for me. And I can then go and edit this and put it onto my school documentation. It's got my marking criteria there for me. It's got the task, it's got outcomes. You can put numbers and all that sort of stuff in there if you like. Let's see how that lesson is going, hey? Where we're up to with that. So if I pop over here to, here it is.
We've got about 2 minutes left, thanks.
Beautiful, perfect timing. So you'll see there that this is the task ready to go. I can then head into generate a quiz for it. It will create a quick generate the questions, and it creates the little quiz that I can then pop into wherever I need to. So that's Teachnology. It does have, I think it's like $10 a month or something. That's one part of this AI world we're not going to get away with. So have a chat with your head teacher about getting some access to some funding for those sorts of things. So in my, if I could just go back to this that I shared with you, don't forget to have a look at Canva. Canva has some great Magic Write. There's a video there to explain to you at the moment, which is GP Chat integrated into Canva. And then down the bottom here are some other apps you might enjoy, really simple ones like this Perplexity. Just so you know, students are like asking those questions, don't want to go to Google. It's good to learn different skills. What is the population of Japan right now? And it will explain to it. I've used this Perplexity when I need to know an Excel formula. I'll type in this and say, what's the Excel formula if I want to do X, Y, Z? And it will give me the formula that I need, which is great. So Perplexity, really quick for facts and data. DALL-E is another image creation, text to image creation tool. And then the cutest one in the world that I really, really love is this Storytime, bedtimestory.ai. And you can give it a really quick little title and it'll write you a little story and give you an AI created image that you can then use. I'm not sure how you'd use that in language, but I just think it's a really, really, really cute tool. And I thought I'd leave you with that as I sign off. So the link, again, I'll share it as I come out of sharing my screen and we'll get back to you. Now, there we go. Let's just stop presenting. And there we go, I'm back.
Thank you so much. That was just, it's like a firework ending to
It
the
is.
presentation.
There's,
with all these things.
There's no slowness to AI. And while we will never, ever understand everything that is out there in the AI world, we do have to keep moving. There's a little bit of a phrase that hangs around that the manager who knows AI will not replace other people. AI will not replace a manager, but the manager who knows AI will replace other managers. So we therefore need to make sure our students understand that. And in order to do that, we need to know it ourselves.
Thank you so much. If you can give Pip a clap either digitally with your reactions or by hand. Thank you so much. It was so exciting. Like I know that I can sit and spend hours on it as well. I just love playing with it all. it just brings some enjoyment back to lesson planning in a different way, but also helps us build skills. It's going to be part of our kids' world. So, hey, at 52, if I can get on top of that a little bit, then that's exciting for me as well. So thank you very much, Pip and Benjamin, for all your support today. I hope, despite our glitch with ChatGPT with the overuse, that you all got something practical from today, whether it's just to even use it or not or whatever. But thank you for your time this afternoon. All the best for the rest of term 1. Have an enjoyable holiday, those of you in New South Wales and other states as they come along. So thank you, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time. Have a great break, everyone.